I bet I know all the answers anyway.
Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance Happy Hour Edition. I am super excited to be joined this evening by Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
And our very special guest of honor returning is Erin Nicholas, but we are actually celebrating your new pen name,
Oh,
Erin
confusing.
Nicolle.
Hi.
How many pen names will we have by the end of 2024? We're at
Who
three.
knows?
We're
Who knows? It's so fun.
I love it. I am so excited to get to chat with you about Reluctant
Yes.
Royal.
Thank
Um,
you.
Heather, like when I put in the chat, I was like, hey, I offered Erin a happy hour. We're going to chat with her. And Heather's like, me. I was like, got
Yay.
No.
it. Got it.
Thank
I
you.
I worry they're going to like cut people in the like chat and the text messages, like coming after people. Um,
You would never do that. You guys are too,
Never.
you're too sweet.
okay. When it comes to our favorite authors, though, I mean, I'm not sure that we are.
Mm.
So we are celebrating Reluctant Royal. Okay, so I read this book twice. So technically now I've read it three times.
Yeah.
I did not realize what a chunky man it is.
I know. I know. Same. I kept saying to my editor, okay, tell me what needs to come out.
Right.
Like I'm just writing. You tell me what needs to come out. And she got to the end and she's like, none of it. We're
No.
just gonna do it like this. I was like, okay.
I was
Yeah,
like, it wasn't
biggest
it
book I've ever written.
it wasn't until it came and I was like, oh, I wonder why it took me a minute. But like
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you would change.
There's
I don't
pretty
think you should change anything
there's
ever.
pretty stuff in it though, so that takes up some space.
Oh, yes. The chapter art is
Ooh.
Isn't that
gorgeous.
fun?
And actually, I was lucky enough to get one of your swag boxes with this,
Yeah.
and my book still smells like lavender because
Oh,
it came with a satchel of lavender, which my girl child stole almost
uh,
instantly. She's like,
um, the box that came in a big box, and my husband carried it in, and he's like, "Do I even want to know what this is?" Like it just the entire room smelled like immediately when he brought the box in. So yeah.
also, okay, and we'll talk about it as we go, but one of the
Mm.
things that I really loved that you did is I got character art, but you put the scene on the back.
That's awesome.
Genius.
Thank you.
Genius. I was like,
I
what?
I was like, what do you put on the back of these? And I was like, oh, well, probably the scene that's on the front. And evidently that's what what people normally do because everyone's saying that. They're like, this is so cool. And I was like, oh,
I want
good.
that on all my character art. You know, it really
Yes.
just it helped me remember that moment again
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just kind of check in with them. Because for those who have not read this,
Do it. What are you doing with your life?
right?
Thank you.
Torin and Abby are
Oh,
they're everything.
I'm
I'm
so
having such
in
a good
love with
time right now.
them. Oh,
Thank you.
There is, and we all know how I feel about cinnamon roll heroes. But
I know. I
To-
know.
you so so in all this
I still have your message about that saved.
oh what
She's like, he's a cinnamon roll hero, but not an annoying one in
right?
parentheses.
So in all honesty, Erin approached me and said, "Hey, I've got a new project I want to try. Would you be willing to help me a little bit?" And I was like, I'm in. At first I just thought you wanted me to do a proofread and you're like, "No, I need
Oh
you to
no.
like read this."
Yeah.
So I
It's like
had
you have to help me fix it. It was
yeah,
kind of what it was.
I had the
mhm.
pleasure of beta reading this and I got to beta read it twice because we things got changed and
Yeah.
moved around a little bit. But it was but when you sent me the email, you're like, he's kind of a cinnamon roll. And I was like, okay, okay. But I love you so much, so I'm not gonna be like, no,
Oh,
I will
dude.
not do this for you.
I
Um,
don't think I knew that you had such an aversion to cinnamon rolls. So I might have been even more like, I don't know.
what am
I'll
I
send
doing?
cookies too.
But he wasn't annoying. Like, and I love Crew from Emma Fox's stuff, but he's such a golden retriever that
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't really get that whole like squishy beta. He's a goodest boy. Um, but
Yes, he
Torin
is.
was just the swooniest. And I think it's because he pines
Mhm.
so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I like writing that though. I think it was even you that was like, I think we need even like to see more of that. And I was like, okay. And then I put it in and I was like, yeah, it's kind of fun to torture these guys even more. So yeah, I do
He
like
He
that.
really was like head over heels. And she was sort of like, okay. And he was like, wait a second, like, I'm a prince. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Okay. And all the people around him are like, serves you right, friend. Serves you right. And I think that's the best. Like his bodyguard, who's his best friend, love him.
Yes.
Good.
And okay, wait. If I remember correctly, there's a novella for the bodyguard and his love interest, or it's coming.
Oh, it's coming, but it's not a novella because apparently Erin Nicholas. So when you write a book this big as a book,
Yeah.
and then you try to write a novella, it ends up being like a book,
Full
like a
book.
normal book.
Obviously.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's not a novella. It is coming end of May, so it's not too long to wait. And it's his bodyguard and well, it's not a spoiler because it happens in like scene 2. It's the girl he was supposed to marry, the arranged marriage.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, who is like,
little...
his his betrothed towards betrothed, but not by his own.
The girl that his grandfather thought he was going to marry since he was 5.
Yes.
Just her.
So we're going to go back a little bit here. Basically, guys, in the description of the video are all the links to connect with Erin and Erin. Make sure you do that. You can ask all the questions in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them as we go. Is anybody drinking anything fun?
I'm not drinking anything fun. I'm drinking this.
Frappuccino.
Frappuccinos.
I'm drinking ginger beer.
Ginger beer.
Oh,
There we go.
good.
I have some
See,
water and a Coke. I did Coke Zero somewhere around here. I have beer in the fridge. I just didn't get one. It was whatever.
You and I were talking, like, it doesn't feel like a Thursday night. I mean, like, honestly, if you had like pinned me down at like 9 a.m. this morning and said, what day is it? I would have been like, Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday-ish. I don't know.
It's like a Friday. It should be a Friday.
This week has been crazy.
Well, and I think we're all still kind of stumbling and coming off of like early this month bowl stuff. And so now we're into like, oh my gosh, it's the spring equinox. And April is like an Easter. It's like
I know.
10 days.
And the weather here anyway has been weird. Like one day it's winter and one day it's like early summer here. And
same.
Yeah.
It was 60 last week, and now we're getting 5 inches of snow tonight. So
it's supposed to snow on Saturday, and it was beautiful. Like Monday, I think we were out, and then I think what screwed me up is I was in New Orleans for the Bella Nola book signing, and I had this whole reader event. Like we all got together, we did ghost tours and dinner and all this fun stuff, and then the time change happened while I was there.
Oh,
and from then on, I haven't known what day, time, whatever it is. So
you also broke your laptop.
I didn't break my laptop.
Oh,
somebody else broke my laptop. Oh, you guys.
It wasn't Mr. Nicholas, was it?
It was not. No,
okay.
No, but Mr. Nicholas was like, well, I guess you got to get a new one. Like he's so unsympathetic and unhelpful when things happen when I'm not home. But I mean, he's right. Like, what am I going to do about it? But he's supposed to be like, oh, honey, how can I help? I don't know.
Yeah, like have a little bit of a panic attack with you.
Exactly.
Like, your whole life is on that computer.
Was it like an offspring? Because sometimes it's like easy to be.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no, I think it was when she was traveling.
It was a woman at the airport who bumped into me and it hit against the arm of the chair. And the thing is, honestly, I didn't think that it was broken. It wasn't that anything major. I just went to open it and it must have hit my screen just right. And it just screwed up the screen. The hard drive is fine. The screen is a problem. But yeah, I spent my first day in New Orleans at the computer store buying a new computer instead of sightseeing.
Weird.
Awesome. But you had the best time. I saw pictures from your fan event or from your reader event, and I was a little jealous.
You should have been jealous. Everybody who was not there should have been jealous. We had a fantastic time. So my trip down there was terrible. United Airlines, trip down and the trip home. They broke planes down and back. You guys, I was stranded in Houston on the way there and on the way back for 4 hours in the airport because they had to get us new airplanes.
Which weekend? Which Sunday was that, or day was that?
2 weeks ago tomorrow.
So the 8th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really funny because my husband had coworkers that were in Vegas for a conference, and they flew in, both had a connecting flight in Houston, and then it was supposed to take them to Columbus. They got stuck, and the one guy got stuck like overnight and didn't even make it back into
oh my God,
into Ohio until like Saturday night, Sunday morning. Like,
was it United? Do you know what airline? Because maybe it's a Houston.
Sure. I don't know. They kept telling them weather, and there were no flights going into Columbus. And I'm just like, there's no flights going to Columbus? Yeah. It was so funny.
Down and back? Like, what are the chances that you have shitty airplanes down and back? Anyway.
Now, I will tell you. So everybody needs to get themselves a group chat. That's like one thing. But we have a group chat of all of the book contributors.
Oh my gosh.
Like everybody that's on the podcast, because we talk about podcast stuff and bookish things and bounce ideas.
Is this your Discord? Is that what you mean?
Oh, no. This is just like in our phone on our chat.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But
there's a couple of conspiracy theorists with the whole Boeing thing.
Yeah.
And one of our people is flying, her son has a Make-A-Wish, and she's flying out Sunday, and she's trying to check what kind of airplane he has. And then that guy ended up like dead, who was the whistleblower, and now she and one of the others are like, it's not okay. They're doing something. And I'm like, okay.
And it's like, but do you want to know? Like, I'm kind of that girl who's like, maybe I don't want to know. Either that or are you willing to cancel your trip if you find out something you don't want to know? Because my sister, so I'm sitting in Houston texting my mom and sister saying, I'm stuck or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah. She goes, they're having a lot of problems with United, blah. And I'm like, that information could have waited until I was on the ground at home instead of when I'm getting ready to get onto another airplane. Anyway, but once I was there, like during the trip, once I was there with the readers, it was lovely. We had such an amazing good time. We went on a cemetery tour, saw some ghosts. I did not, but others did claim they did. Whatever, fine. Don't want to know any more about it. We had dinner. We had a swamp boat tour, of course. We went down to the bayou to the little town that I have set my series based on. And like the swamp boat tour company that I set my series, that I based it on. And it was so cute because they all walked out and they're like, this looks exactly like your books. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wait, what? Like they didn't realize that that's what I had done. It was cute. So it was super fun. We had a great, great time.
Well, Mickey is definitely rubbing into all of us in the chat. So we know that we missed out on a good time.
Here. We did have a really great time. We really did. And so it was all worth it. It was worth the hours in freaking Houston. No offense to anyone who lives in Houston. But
no, it was bonkers. That's so bonkers because that was the same weekend my husband's coworkers were traveling from his team and they got stuck in Houston.
This woman sitting next to me, her husband is like a double platinum, blah, 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 flies all over the world, whatever. She's sitting next to me about this. And she goes, we're in fucking Houston. I mean, this woman is like in her 60s and she's swearing like a sailor. And I loved every minute of it. And she's like, we're in fucking Houston. And you're telling me you don't have an extra plane sitting around? She's like, if we were in BFE, Arkansas, okay, but we're in Houston. Go get us a plane.
Good for her. I love it. Oh, Karen, like that.
There's going to be a super sassy grandma in a coming book.
Right? I know. I was like, tell me more. And then she goes, the guy made the mistake of telling us, yeah, so we had to get the plane out of storage. So it has to go through all the safety checks and cleaning. And she goes, why is our plane in storage? Why wasn't it being used? I don't think And I'm like, oh my God. They probably don't even have plane storage in BFE, Arkansas, though.
No.
No. It was actually very entertaining.
I imagine it was.
I got stories out of it, as always. So
which is always
I
fun.
think that's what I mean, like you probably are super observant where you're like, do you like have tons of notes in your
I
phone?
do. And people, I love to observe people. I love to
I
talk
hear
to
you.
people from all over because they're so interesting, you know,
Mhm.
and you pick up these little bits and what I love is when people surprise me, like when you stereotype someone, as we all do accidentally, like you'll look at somebody and be like, you know, but then they end up surprising you and being like hilarious or sweet or whatever they are. And I love those moments. And it's funny, after 4 hours sitting in an airport where you're all trying to get home, people start to kind of bond,
Sure.
you know, and you start to kind of look at each other like, holy shit, you know, like this one lady's kids are freaking out. So other people are giving them M&Ms and, you know, it's that kind of stuff that normally like you wouldn't want your kids taking candy from strangers, obviously, but you know,
They're not strangers after 4
they're not
hours.
strangers. We're like all in it together now. So yeah, so I do love that actually.
And you're going to be on a plane. And so if like you're not going to hand a kid something that they're going to be vomiting because you're going to be on a plane with them.
I would be carrying my
Very
kid
soon.
back and be like, now he's sitting with you.
Thanks for the 72 bags of M&Ms. He now lives here.
We will see you in a couple hours.
Does anyone have some melatonin that they could give my kid? Because like I am done.
Here's a little shot of whiskey. I know the one guy, a couple of guys were at the bar. That was the other problem, is then everything started closing because we were in the Houston airport past like 10 and everything closes at 10. And you're like, oh, this is gonna just quickly go downhill now. There's no food.
Wait, it's like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, there's beef jerky packets being passed around. Like, this is not going anywhere good.
So it's so funny because my mom travels back and forth to San Antonio and she goes through the Detroit airport, and she has now started packing her own snacks because she always leaves on the early morning commuter flights because they're cheaper. So she like has to be on the plane at like 5 a.m. So she started packing her own snacks because she's like, nothing is open and I don't feel comfortable eating a vending machine sandwich. And then she's like, if I have a layover, I am not paying $10 for a chicken sandwich. I'm just not. And I'm thinking, lady, you're like flying 5 times a year round trip. I'm fairly certain you can afford a $10 freaking chicken sandwich. Shut up.
Right.
There comes a point where you're like, $10, that's all? Yes, take my
Yes.
But 5 a.m., getting to the airport at 5 a.m., that's like my nightmare.
No, she has to be like checked in at 5. Her flight leaves at like 5:45.
The ticket would have to be $25. When you're talking about it,
you're not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person.
No, like I do not message Erin. Usually I expect if I'm supposed to talk to Erin, it's going to be like around 11, 12.
Yeah.
And that takes in the time difference because she is an hour. She's Central Time.
Yep.
So her brain doesn't function till after noon.
Not for business. I get up and I write before I do anything else. So I try not to get on social media. I don't look at my email. I don't look at news headlines. I don't do anything before around 11. Then I can handle being an adult. I can't adult before 11.
Which really sucks when you have like juicy gossip you're sitting on and you're like, go-to person is Erin. And you're like,
I always regret it. I regret it like 3 times a week. I look at my messages and I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing everything.
I think that's impressive. Like that's impressive.
Well, it's that or don't get any books written because then I get all caught up in everything and it's like 4 o'clock and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't get anything done today. I'm very easily distracted.
Don't open Reels or TikTok because you'll be like, well, there goes my whole day.
Exactly.
Although
I'm very easily distracted.
I had to tell you, I bought the coolest thing off TikTok.
Oh boy.
It is actually.
I bought a TikTok shop item. And actually this kind of is your fault a little bit, Erin, because you have the cutest stickers.
Oh.
And I haven't put them in yet. I have
it's a sticker book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reusable sticker book. So here are the very cute stickers, you guys, that came with my book box. They're adorable.
Yay. Thank you.
But look, it's basically sticker backing for pages. Gosh. So it's reusable.
Okay, that is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to do with all my stickers. They usually just sit in a pile, like on my desk or in a bucket.
Right. Like you want them, like I want them all. And then I get them and I'm like, oh, now what do I do? Yeah, I know.
So
but you don't want to put them on something that you're going to like throw away because what if it's really cute?
We should start sticking them inside books. Let's normalize sticking them on the title pages of the books they go.
No, I'm good with that. I actually made I
I'm
made
like, is that like ruining books? Like people are gonna freak out.
no, I made stickers for buzzing about romance readers that
Yeah.
say this is a buzzing about romance approved title. So like if you buy a title that we recommend and you want to put a sticker on the inside. And then I also bought book club stickers this week because like Oprah has a sticker. Why wouldn't I want a sticker that says
Yeah,
buzzing
see,
book club?
that would be the perfect place. Like we should just put
Yes,
them all here on this. Like what else is this inside cover for? That's what
exactly.
they're for, I think.
I did
Or
it for
back cover.
I did
Back
it for a
cover.
Krista Sandor book. I haven't done it for years because I was showing everybody. I was like, look, we'll just stick the stickers right there and then I'll have
I think that's what we need to start doing. Okay. That's our
Okay.
campaign. That's your campaign to start that.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what people are gonna
especially if you get the rec from somebody,
I love that idea.
you know,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
who recommended this book? Oh, that was a
Mhm.
buzzing about romance book. I
Right.
should put that in there so I know who told me to read this book.
That's great. I do. I think that's great.
I mean, we also don't crack spines in this group. Like, they're trophies.
Should we talk about Torrin and Abby or no?
Oh, well, yeah. Yes.
I'm sitting here going, we have not even.
I mean,
sorry.
I
Stickers
can't
are
see any
important.
comments. So if anyone's asking me questions, let me know.
I
'Cause
will.
can't.
I
Yeah.
will.
Okay, we can talk about it. So let's talk about the
Okay.
inspiration first because
Oh, okay.
this is different a little bit for you. First of all, they're royals, but
They're
also
royals.
it's first person.
Yes. Yes. So I can tell you why both of those things happened. I had somebody ask me the other day about like, why are you doing this pen name? And I thought everyone knew. So
Also,
obviously,
wait, you're a trendsetter because now it's like, where's Kate? And
I know.
it was, where's Abby?
I know. One of my there's a podcast in the book. I guess we should like
Yes.
not pretend everyone knows what we're talking about. There's a podcast in the book. And Lindsay and Jen are the two people who are on the podcast, and they are named after real people. Lindsay is my editor. Jen is my like first beta reader. And they were not originally named Jen and Lindsay until those two got really opinionated about what was going on in the book and how things should be done. And so I was like, okay, well, guess who's going to have the podcast? But they're thrilled to be the podcasters. So it's really kind of funny. But yeah, so they messaged me the other day with all this Kate stuff. They're like, this sounds like the podcast. Like, can't she just wave out the window and let us know that she's okay? And I'm like, either this is going to stir up interest for people in royals, or it's going to make everybody go, ew, I don't want to hear anything about royals.
I feel like I should make a TikTok tomorrow that's like, are you invested in Where's Kate? I want to know where's Abby. And so does Wait Till I Tell You podcast.
Exactly. And wait till I tell you it's like an Irish phrase. I guess people use that. That's why I named it that, because that's like a common phrase they use. Like you'll go to a bar and that's like what people will say.
Wait,
and that's like a big
So do you
gossip
have
thing.
any experience with anybody that's like Irish or Irish descent and their
So my
storytelling?
family on my dad's side is Irish, which is why I kind of picked that.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked that part of the world to make my fictitious come through, because one side of my family is Danish and Swedish and one side is Irish. And so I was like, we're just going to smash it all together. So
Perfect.
Nice.
yeah.
Perfect.
But
So
yeah. So first person,
Lauren?
I love writing in first person. And so I was like, I just really want to do this.
But
in
you
first
haven't
person. I know.
but you haven't
haven't.
done first person.
Emma Fox is
Emma's
first person. But I had started writing this before we started doing Emma. So this was my first experience. Yeah. And so I was like, I just really enjoy this. I'm going to see what my readers think. But then it was it's so different. Like, I don't want new readers to come in and then be like, I'm going to go read her backlist and go, what is this third person bunch of guys down on the bayou? Like, I want people to know that they're different. Like, I'm very happy if you want to read everything, but they are different. So that's why I thought we should kind of differentiate them a little.
Yeah. Well, they are
makes
different.
sense.
So why royals? Because that's not necessarily something that currently is like
Yeah.
a trendy trope, but I love it. I
Yeah.
think of all the Emma Chase books and
I know.
and I
know.
love
That's
it.
why, because I love it. And I was talking to somebody and they're like, you just got to write something you really enjoy. And so when Torrin's sister first showed up in another series of mine, and I was like, I'm going to make her a princess. I know that's super weird. We're just going to go with it. It's the last book in a series. My readers love this woman already, but I want her to have a big secret. And so that was the secret I gave her. And everyone was like, what? But it was just fun. It was kind of just a fun thing with my readers. But then I had to establish this whole this whole world, right, for her. And then her brothers ended up on page and being too interesting. And I was like, I kind of want to write their stories. And my readers were like, we really want you to. So that's how it happened. But I love royals. I love royal romances. I love royal movies. I love royal, all of the books Emma chases. And so, yeah, I was like, well, I guess we'll see what people think.
I have no skin in the game, like with royalty or anything like that. But do I follow royal content creators on TikTok? 1,000% I do.
1,000%. There's something about royals, I think, that is fun because, and my editor kind of said this one day too, we were talking about it. It's like they have like this power and celebrity, but a lot of times, like especially far removed at least, right? Like at some point their ancestors may have colonized something that they shouldn't have. But like the current royals, right? You can be like, well, they were just born into it. Like it's not their fault. It's not, like they didn't like climb the ladder and buy out a bunch of companies. Like they can be rich and sort of famous without the baggage, sort of, I guess. And then I wanted to create a country. And I know you pointed it out too, Becky, that like the country I created, there was no war. They didn't take it over from anyone. They were given it. It was a gift. It's a very soft backstory. It's a very,
Right.
Like,
it's not confrontational. And it's kind of that power of like, it's part of the reason like I love Hollywood norm type romances. It gives those elements of fish out of water.
Yes.
But it's this kind of fishbowl environment that we all think we know, but we don't, and we're intrigued. Exactly. And you gave us Torin, who, dude's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really fun to write because I was like, I don't want the typical prince who's like, I just need a wife because my grandfather says I do. I wanted him to have some conflict about that. I wanted him to want to be the king for the right reasons, but to maybe not be great at that. Like, to maybe have some flaws. So yeah, he was fun to write.
He is, and he's kind of funny because when you think of like leadership, right? You think that they are looking out into the world and a little less self-focused or tunnel vision. Like they are always taking into account everything. Torin has like some of the worst case of tunnel vision. And you guys, Mr. like early on, I had to tell Erin he needs to not keep having sex with Abby. There was like 3 days lost. And I was like,
he needs to do something else.
He's got to have something else going on. There is.
I would have been totally happy with that. So just so you know.
Yeah. Once Abby changed her mind about everything, she was okay with it too.
She was. She was. So there's some neat things about Abby, and she's actually connected also to your Bayou books.
Yes. She's her two sisters each have books in past series, but she was never really on page much at all. I mentioned her, of course, as there's another sister, but she was never really there. And if you read the book, you understand why. She's not the big family party girl. So it made sense. But even my readers were like, oh yeah, Abby. We don't know anything about her. And that was on purpose. And that was really good because then I could do what I needed to with her.
I think I read the first prologue and I messaged the contributors. And I'm like, seriously, this girl cannot talk to anyone without vomiting.
And I've often, nobody has said this yet. A couple of people in reviews have said, oh, by the way, if you have a problem with vomiting, heads up. I'm like, did I need to do a trigger warning for that? There's a lot of it in there, but it's not super graphic.
I mean, it's like twice. I don't feel like it's like,
no.
The thing I love about Abby is she is smart. Girl is a genius, like literally a genius, and has like this big heart, and no one, like, I don't think realizes like what a kind, generous heart she has.
Because she can't talk about it, and I just was like, that's kind of so sad, right? Like how many people are out there in the world who could be making these huge contributions, who could just be like changing our world, but we're overlooking them because they're not flashy or they're not, whatever we think they're supposed to be. Yeah.
They don't have a Torin backing her.
No.
That's the thing. His big like grand gesture is probably the best grand gesture I've ever read in a book.
Yay.
But he does it
so
more than,
good.
he does a grand gesture more than once, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the big one, but there are other littler ones too. Like everything he does for Abby, which is why he isn't an annoying cinnamon roll.
Good. That he needed a purpose, right? To really channel who he was. And that's what she is. She's his purpose.
And I think what I loved the best about all of this is you showed that even with privilege and prestige, things can be complicated and you can be so overwhelmed with everything you're supposed to be taking care of that you don't know the first place to start.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And Abby really centered him and said, well, you got to start here at the beginning. And I just love that for them, because this was one of those situations, and I know there are others of your books that are like this, because I'm thinking of like the Bayou Badge series and your sugar-coated series.
Yeah.
These two are really partners in love. Like it's more than coupling. It is a partnership between the two of them.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that you saw that. It was one of those things where I thought, it has to be something where even if she couldn't stick out the relationship, the romance, the whatever, they have to still have something that lasts beyond that, right? Like they have to do something that lasts. And, I played around with the ending a little bit and was like, does she leave? And that never felt right. It never did. But I thought if she leaves, he goes after her, right? And that
for sure.
And that seems ridiculous. Why would we do that? She needs to grow up and realize this is what she needs to be doing, right? That this is bigger, like what you just said. This is bigger than what they can do individually. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing about love stories, is when you are more together than you are apart.
One of the things you love to do in your books, and you do this with Emma Fox, you do this with Erin Nicholas, is you give us little items that are signature pieces for each of the different characters that helps individualize them, but also shows us like some continuity, right? So like with Abby, like the green wellies, her boots, her garden boots.
Yeah.
Like I love them. And to be honest, I was scrolling the other day on a website and I saw a pair of green wellies and I was like, I bet Abby owns those.
I know. I just am like, that is like, to me, thinking of a princess who's wearing those and tromping around in a, field somewhere. And that's where she's happy. I was like, this is Abby to me. Like, okay, I'll be a princess, but I have to be able to still do this too. Like,
and I see her in like short, flirty, flowery dresses with green wellies on.
Yep, exactly.
And if doing Zoom calls with kids doing crafts.
Yeah. And it's so funny because for, I think, my longtime readers, if you know her sisters, she's so different from them. They are very girly. They are very, dressed to the nines and the whole bit. And so that was also fun to explore, that there's this girl who's been overlooked kind of by everybody, but she's kind of just done her own thing. And she's just her own person over here.
And I think one of the swooniest, smallest gestures, and I'm sure this is a microtrope, and you were on the podcast and you and I talked about microtropes. One of the things that was super swoony was when he kind of takes a checklist of all the people that have ever made her feel uncomfortable, and he starts sending them away so that she's comfortable in the moment. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's like a microtrope, right? Like,
I mean, it's kind of that, like, the guy who beats up the bully for you, right? But it's Torrance' way of doing it. Like, he probably would throw a punch for her, but he doesn't need to.
No.
He can just do it this way instead.
How he, like, rubs her, like, high school bully's face and how smart she is. Like, that, I was like, oh my God, I love this man. When you said he's a cinnamon roll in the streets and then an alpha in the sheets, I was like, okay, how is she going to pull this off? And then I was like, she totally pulled it off.
That my publicist sent that to me with like a big LOL, like she didn't mean, she's like, not this, something else, but something like this. And I was like, oh, I'm using that. I'm using exactly that.
Use that. Totally use that.
You had me at like that. I was like, all right, let's go.
That's all I need to say. Awesome. Now I know.
Well, because he was squishy and sweet and nice, but the spice in this book, like, it was spicy. I feel like you're kind of coming into your spice. Like,
I'm letting go of the idea that I have to write a certain heat level. Like, I think authors get into that. Like, I've been doing this for so long. That's such a thing, right? I've been doing this for so long. We get there, and that's what the pen name did for me too. It kind of was like, okay, now I can kind of reinvent some of these things, because that's what I want to write. I love the spicy stuff. I love the hotter stuff. And I'm like, that's what we're going to do with this new one.
it was so spicy.
Yeah.
It was so spicy.
I do want to say I did not want to like the king. I really wanted to not like him.
Yes. And that's okay.
But at the end, I was like, okay, like, I get it.
Yeah. He's going to be a recurring character in the series. And I think he's going to be somebody, at least for me, he's somebody who, like, sometimes I like him and sometimes I don't. Like, he's a driving force, you know, who I don't think he always makes the right choices.
Well, it shows his humanity.
Exactly. And he's a grandfather. You know, it's not like he's just the king. These are his grandkids. And there's some things about the king that you will find out through the series that will make some of his decisions make more sense when you find them out. But before you know that, you'll be like, what the hell, dude? Like, chill. But
so we did talk, the bodyguard and the former betrothed are going to get a book, and that's next.
Yes.
But that is not the question on everybody's mind.
Oh, really? What's the question on everyone's mind?
Everybody needs to know what sibling, which of the brothers is next. Because I will not lie to you and tell you that in my chat, I had questions. Do you know who's next? And I was like, I think I know who's next.
I would love to know what you think. Well, so first of all, I will tell you that at the back of the book, it will tell you.
Right.
You go all the way through the back.
Wait, I read an epilogue. I read an epilogue.
You did.
For Erin.
I know you did.
So
I know you
so
did. Which see, that's what I have to remind my ARC readers too. So I sent the ARC readers out a book that said at the end, Joan and Linnea's book out now. And I got all these messages, and I was like, dudes, you got the book early. Like, give me a break. But I do know who's next, and I will tell you that it changed. So when I first started this book, it was going to be a different brother than it's going to be, because I realized that the plot I didn't intend to have this like ongoing plot until one day in the shower, I realized, oh, that would be really, really fun.
Shower ideas every time.
Every time
the shower ideas.
They need to make waterproof dictaphones so that I can just have it.
So I just yell at my phone, her name, the lady name.
Yeah.
And I say, text Leah, because Leah gets, and then I get random texts back that are, is this a shower idea? And I'm like, yeah, isn't it great?
I need a shower text buddy. Okay, I'm going to tell Erin McCarthy she's now on my list for that.
Because Leah's just like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I have great ideas in the shower.
I'm telling you, it's always that. It's always that. And it's not even, it used to be when I would drive, but it's not that as much anymore, because sometimes I'll dictate when I drive. And so I think my brain has switched. Now it's only shower, because it's the only time I can't write it down. But yeah, no, I had this idea. I was like, oh, wait, but we could do this with that thing. And so it would be better if he's next and then he's last. So what's going to happen is it's going to be a prince bodyguard, because the bodyguard stories all happen simultaneous to the prince's book. So like Joan and Linnea's book is kind of happening at the same time, right? Because you saw them on page.
Right.
And her story actually starts before Torn and Abby's, but I felt strongly that Torn and Abby's needed to be first. You have to know their story before you care about Joan and Linnea's story. But theirs happens a little bit before. Theirs starts actually before the start of Torn and Abby's. But then it extends through, right? So then the next one will be a prince, and then his bodyguard has a story happening at the same time. So they'll all be like that.
So now you say bodyguard, and I think it's got to be now the youngest brother and not the oldest brother.
Yes, that's right. It'll be Kian and Henry are the next two.
Okay. But there was, I can't spoil it, you guys, but there's that whole scene. Like,
I know, but Declan has to be last because I think for a couple of reasons. One, because of what I figured out with the plot, and two, because I think he's so intriguing and you got to make people wait a little bit.
Does Linnea's brother, the hockey player, does he have a book?
Not yet. Not in this plan. We'll have to see if people want that.
We
Yes.
You don't even know. He hasn't even.
I don't care.
Yes.
He plays hockey. Maybe we should give him to Emma Fox.
I know, right? I know. Like, let's have a major crossover here.
I'm down.
But yeah, I mean, I have to write something after this series is done, so that would be fun.
Yeah, he needs a book. I'm not sure, like, why you thought, I don't know, maybe readers.
Well, he's like a name on the page right now. Nobody even knows. Maybe he's a dick. You guys don't know.
Yeah, but
we're sure gonna like him then.
But we know there's a complicated history.
There is, yes.
And the fact that he plays for Declan's team.
I know.
And
Declan is a handful, y'all.
Well, and his sister wants to take out Declan in every which way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
okay. How long is this series going to take us through? Like all of 2025? Like
no. So hopefully, anyway, the plan is that Kian's book will come out in October. And if I can get it done, Henry's will be like January. If like I would do November, but it's a election year. It's just a bad time for that. So
for everything.
Yeah. You know,
for the world.
Like we all just need to chill for a month or two. So probably like early January would be Henry's, and then I'll do Declan's and then his bodyguard. Probably 2025, but I don't think it'll go through the whole year. I think I'll be done midway.
Well, and then we have a hockey team.
We have a hockey team. I have another story idea that's just a standalone that probably could turn. I mean, they always turn into series once I start. I always think that'll just be a one-off, but it never is. So
I think you told me that when you brought me Reluctant Royal and Tauren. You're like, I just am toying with this. It's just one book. It's one idea. And I'm like, okay.
And I don't know why. My editor, I said to her the other day, I go, so this novella, she goes, let me guess. It's 70,000 words and it's not a novella. I was like, how did you know that? And she's like, how long have we known each other? I was like, okay, fair enough. I have written novellas in my, to be on the record, in my defense, I have written novellas, but they are hard.
I read your Christmas novella, but I'm still pretty certain that was almost 40,000 words. Like,
it was pretty long.
It was almost not a novella. It was almost like category range.
I wrote a short story this past year, first person.
That was 13,000 words.
And I loved it so much. I was like, oh, I can't believe I have to stop. So writing short is not my thing.
So everyone in the chat is agreeing with me wholeheartedly. Like, maybe he could go for the Rocketeers, or of course we want a hockey romance. Like,
I think it's hockey. I can't see this chat. I think you might be lying.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Yes, I'm not lying. People want it.
The more words she writes, the happier we are. That was a comment. See?
That's sweet. No, I thought to myself when I was putting Alex in there, I was like, you always want to sprinkle a few characters that could keep going, because I mean that's how you make a career out of being an author, is having more books to write. So I will say it's not like I haven't thought of that at all.
Susan Stoker says if you give them a name, you should expect to write a book about them.
Susan, yes, exactly. I actually had I'll never forget this. It was about 4 years ago. I had a waitress in a scene in a diner. One scene, one time, I did not even give her a name, but she was a little sassy with the hero, and somebody was like, "Who's she?" And that was when I was like, I give up.
She's a waitress. No, not everyone we meet in the street gets a romance book.
And I learned 10 years ago to never name a secondary character some throwaway name that I hate, because he might turn into a hero, and then I have stuck with that name. So if I think there's even an inkling that somebody might have a book, I have to give them good names. And that makes it hard.
Which can get complicated. So, because names are not easy.
No, they're not.
Because you've written how many books total, Erin?
Like, I mean, just as Erin Nicholas, it's like 70, I think, maybe more. And so then, and now I've got Emma Fox, which we've decided though, Erin McCarthy and I decided, that's okay. We can repeat names.
Right. Yeah.
If we've used something before, we can use it again as Emma. Yeah. And now as Erin Nicolle, it'll be, you know, we have 6 already, like, on the books. So yeah, it's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books.
Okay.
Before we are done, we do need to talk about Emma Fox because she has a book coming out next week.
Yes. Next week. How did that happen? Where did March go?
And it's a one book. It's not a trilogy this time.
It's a standalone. It is related to the world, though. So it's people you'll recognize if you're in the world.
Yeah, it's the sister, crew sister.
Yeah, and teammate and coach.
And that cover with the cupcakes is freaking adorable.
Do you like it? Thank you.
Okay,
we worked so hard on that.
I just have to tell you. So I joined your Patreon.
Oh, thank you.
Because I was like, I need to make sure I'm not missing stuff because I keep missing things.
There's too much going on. I told everybody, I was like, until like July, it's nuts. It's like books everywhere. And then hopefully it'll slow down a little bit. But yes, I'm so glad you like that cover. Thank you. We worked really hard on that. It took us a while to get that right. And you'll notice, obviously, it's different than Emma's first series. And we did that on purpose just to kind of see, what do people like? Do they like the objects better than the, you know, cartoons or whatever? But
cupcakes are adorable. I'm like totally going to need to have that book on my shelf.
It's icing it. And if you want to know, yes, there is a scene with icing
and frosting
with cupcake icing. Of course there is. But yeah, no, it's a very fun book. It's a standalone. It is so it's not like the trilogy like we did with Danny and the guys. Decided to like let's just do one, you know, give Luna her story, but it doesn't need to be more than that. But of course we got to the end and we're like, we could write about these people forever. And we've had people asking, are there going to be more books? So who knows? Who knows? There was pretty bonus scenes and stuff, but they were a lot of fun. They were Luna's very different from Danny. So where Danny is so sweet and so just whatever, you know, everything's good, life is good. The way Erin McCarthy describes Danny is if the first person to get killed in a horror movie would be Danny, because she'd be like, here, let me help you with your chainsaw.
She would. Danny would.
And she put that comment in. I laughed so hard when she put that in. I think Luna says it. I think actually in icing it, it's a Luna line
who says it.
And Luna's very different from Danny. So she was a lot of fun. It was fun to just write something different.
Well, she's a little bit more pessimistic. Like
she is.
And she's a little less like.
Yeah. She's a little sassy. She has a ton of banter with our grumpy guy in this book. He's a super grump. He's just kind of a dick to her at first, actually. And she just like, whatever, like they just give it back and forth to each other. There's also MM in this book, which is new for us.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Yummy. That's my love language right there.
So I have to laugh because Danny and her guys are Cookie and Company. Are they like?
Somebody in the reviews called them Team Macaron, and you'll see why when you read it. You'll understand why.
My gosh, I cannot wait.
You could give them like a Christmas letter, you know, like how people write Christmas letters. You could give them a little letter.
Yeah, if she writes a letter, it'll be like 25,000 words.
I know.
Okay. I'd still read it.
She's like, I know, that's what I was going for. We need bonus material for them. They are a ton of fun. And they're just different. It's kind of refreshing because they're different, you know, it's something new. The one guy is a single dad. The coach is a single dad. So we have some of that vibe. You get to see his son. His son is a teenager though. So there's an age gap with her and him. And then you've got the teenage boy and he's a lot of fun. Brady's a good kid. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. I really do. And of course I will send you ARCs if you didn't get them.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll happily take it, but we can also wait. Like we're not dying, but yes, we love it. And
it's already next week. Erin said that to me today and I was like, no, we have 2 weeks. And she's like, no,
it's next week. It's
the 29th it comes out. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. So really people, there isn't an excuse. Like I'm telling you.
A lot of people I think are waiting. So Permanently Pucked, which is the end of Danny Cookie and Company, comes out in May. And I think there are people maybe waiting. They want to read that first and then they'll go to Luna's book. So, you know, we're like, no, just read Luna's book. It's a great way to kill time in between.
I just need Luna's book. I have been in love with Luna since the first book.
Right.
You want this book now.
And also because Crew, like I said earlier on, he's such a golden retriever. He's the goodest boy. The
He really
goodest
is.
boy. But Luna is his opposite. And it always makes me laugh because, you know, I have 2 children and they are opposites.
Mine are too.
They are
Absolutely.
complete opposites. And people are always like, oh no, they've got to be. I'm like, listen, we raised them the same. One is feral. The other's just a jackass. Like, it just happens. It just happens.
It's the same genetics. It's the same. I know. Mine are the same way. Mine
Your
are
feral one is your second born?
Yeah, of course. Of course she is.
Isn't that funny? My second born, my son is actually Crew. He's a golden retriever.
He is.
Absolutely.
My oldest is the golden retriever. But my second one, she's feral.
That's amazing.
She's feral and sassy and slightly scary. But I love her.
On record. No, I think you'll enjoy getting to know Luna after you've known Crew, because Crew's part of the reason she's the way she is. You know, like having a brother like Crew, like she's like, Luna actually kind of hates hockey. I'll give you that little hint. She kind of hates hockey.
Well, we kind of see that in the last book that we got of Cookie and Company when she's there and she's like,
yes. But she's on her phone all the time. She really doesn't care. But then she falls for one of Crew's teammates, Alexei, who's been in the series. And honest to God, this guy is worse than Crew. He's a golden retriever. He makes Crew look grumpy. And we were like, even Crew, he'll say to him, okay, dude, you need to like turn it down a little. It's like so fun. He's just like unicorns.
I love that. And I like that you're mixing it up and swords are going to cross and we're going to get that little bit of spice added in. I'm super
That was very fun. Yeah, we enjoyed that. So that'll probably, I don't know. We were like, what is Emma Fox going to write about? So we enjoyed that enough that there's probably going to be more of that in Emma's future. So,
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so Reluctant Royal is out now.
Yes, it is.
It is available with Kindle Unlimited. And also you have an Etsy store with
I do.
all sorts of fun stuff that you can buy and get signed copies and all that stuff.
Stickers and vellum sheets and character art and all that good stuff.
There's so much great character art that you have.
I personally love this trend. I know some authors are like, but I very much enjoy it. And I'll tell you what, can I tell you the story about my character art?
Yeah. Okay.
Can I show that? Not
absolutely.
So I was trying to find an artist that didn't do super cartoony stuff, right?
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a little bit more mature, I guess. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So I go on Fiverr and I'm looking through all these artists and I find this guy who does like sci-fi fantasy stuff. And he does like for video games and he does like graphic novels and stuff. I'm like, I'm just going to message him. His name is Justin. Message him. I say, Justin, here's who I am. Here's what I'm looking for. I know this is not what you do. Would you be interested at all? And he's like, I think I would be. He goes, send me some, can you send me an example of what you're talking about? So I sent him like stock photos of like, this is the kind of pose I'm thinking, and this is whatever. He's like, can I sketch something for you? And if you hate it, it's fine. We'll just say, we'll go on our way. So this is the one. This is the crown scene. So he sketches this for me. And I go, so can I hire you or what? And he's like, yes. And so we went through this. He took this on. He's never done anything like this before, but his roommate, who I guess is just a friend, I don't know, she reads romance. So she starts asking him all about this. And she's like, I want to read that book. Oh my God, let me know when that book is out. This sounds like so much fun. And then we get to the not safe for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he sketches this out, no problem. Doesn't blink, doesn't blush, nothing. He's like, because I sent the scene to him, know, and so this is what it should be. And he's like, I can make her bra smaller if you want. Like, are her boobs the right size? Like, what do you do? Like, he just took it and no problem. And he did such a fantastic job. And I was, you're hired. Can I hire you again for other books? He's like, please do. I was like, can I give your name to author friends? He's like, yes. Oh my God. So anyway,
I
really fun.
like the features. They're not vector. They're not softened. Like,
right.
Torrin, we see the texture of his hair. We see, you know, the chiseling of his jawline, plus the intricacy. And actually, it's so funny because I'm working with an author that's writing a Minotaur book.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't love the character monster art that I'm seeing. She's like, but I don't want it to be scary. And I was like, so look for a Dungeons and Dragons artist.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because there's going to be different levels.
Exactly. And there's a ton of people on Fiverr. Honestly, like tell her to go there, or she could have Justin's name. I'll give you his name.
Okay,
but,
send me Justin's name too. So.
Even look at the sparkles. Like there's little sparkles in her dress because in the scene I described that it's like sparkly. So he sends it to me, goes, is this kind of what you're thinking? And I mean, then he sent it to me at one point. I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And he's like, well, hang on. And he sends it back. He goes, I thought she needed like some of her hair tendrils needed to come down. Like, he got so into this.
I love it. It's like,
it's super fun.
It's super fun. These are going to have to be framed and put up on my walls. Good. And again, I love that you put the scene on the back.
I'm so glad I did too.
That was such a nice added piece.
So, and you can get vellum sheets with those same scenes in my store. And when I first sent them out to people, I told them which page they go on.
Yeah. I mean, mine are just in the front of my book. So
yeah, I just stuck them in there. So anyway, but thank you. And thank you for all of your enthusiasm and support about the book, you guys. I'm so excited that you liked it.
It's so cute. I love it. And I can't wait for what's next. You know.
Me too.
I'm in it. I'm in it forever.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. My second teenager came in.
No, you're fine. I was
looking for a charger.
This helps me, you know, get really motivated to like final push on that on that book that I need to finish.
I'm going to
get in on it.
I know. Well, Emma Fox is taking up a lot of my time right now. So I have too much going on. Imagine that.
Imagine that you overcommitted.
Imagine that I overcommitted and was like, sure, I can write 3 different names at once.
Shocking.
Why not?
We have faith in you, Erin.
It's going to be great.
It is going to be great. So Reluctantly Royal is out now, available with Kindle Unlimited. Make sure you check that out. Check out Erin's Etsy store. If you are interested in getting a signed paperback or any of the cute character art and vellum. Are your stickers up on your Etsy store too?
Yep. And you can get them as a set. So
you have to look up Erin Nicholas Etsy store in Google.
I think that it's linked on our website. If it's not, I'll put a link on the thing for this website, for this happy hour. I'll put a link in there. Okay.
And it is coming in audio. They're actually recording it now. So it will be out in audio also. Jason Clark is Torrin.
What?
Yes.
Hello.
Very nice.
I know. So
yum.
Coming soon too.
Hello, that's exciting. Who's the female narrator?
Shayna Somerville.
Okay.
If you don't know her, look her up. She's great. Yeah.
Awesome.
I haven't worked with her before, but
I kind of like what I'm seeing right now in audio with them pairing like a well-known name and then a lesser known name, because I'm finding some new narrators that I wouldn't have found in other ways.
I work with Audio Flow, and she does that sort of on purpose. You know, she really likes to do that so that newer narrators, or not newer, but lesser known, new too. But and Emma Fox's the first ones, Puck One Night Stands, almost done. And yes, and I don't know if I can tell you who.
I was gonna say
the voice of Nathan. Let me just say, you know the voice of Nathan very well, and we're very excited that he is working with us. So Nathan, that's all I'm gonna say. Until we can do an official announcement. But we have 4 narrators, you guys. We got there are 3 different guys and then a girl for Danny.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know where to find us if you want to do an announcement.
Yeah, I think I can remember.
You know how to find me. Erin, thanks so much for hanging out. Icing will be available next Thursday. Next Thursday?
Yep.
Thursday?
29th.
Yeah.
The 29th, whatever day that is.
That's Friday.
Okay, Friday.
I think it's Friday. So grab Icing next Friday. Again, it'll be in Kindle Unlimited. Erin, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you guys. This went fast.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
And then, just so everybody knows, Friday, April the 5th, Erin will be back to hang out with me and Leah, and we are introducing her to our friend Krista Sandor, who's another romance author. Look at Heather. She's like, oh my gosh.
You and Leah don't need to show up. Erin and Krista don't have to know.
They've never met. They've never talked to each other. So
we've never talked to each other, but I think it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be so much fun. So that'll be 9 p.m. April the 5th. You can come back here to YouTube and watch the live recording. We also are live every Sunday night here on YouTube doing our episode recording.
Those are so cute.
And this week, our topic is gateway romance. We're going to talk about our Sweet Valley High, our babysitter club, and our young adults, and maybe some cozy mysteries that we read along the way to get to where we at that, you know.
I loved your episode, the last episode about nicknames. That was really fun.
Wasn't that fun?
Thank you for mentioning me, but I mean, it was a really fun episode, even if I hadn't been on it.
It was so random. It was Amanda. She's like, I have big thoughts on nicknames. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of it. It's kind of a thing now. It's like, it feels like more of an actual thing, right? That authors are doing. So.
And I just never really thought about it, but she had big thoughts. So we did it because that's what we do. If you have big thoughts, let us know, and we'll make it a topic on the podcast because
for sure
we like talking about things.
We like big thoughts and feelings.
We do like big thoughts and feelings. Anyway, again, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. And like I said, we'll be back Sunday night, 9:00, right here on the YouTube. Thanks everyone. Bye.